Aloha, everyone. This is Tasha with LA Live Action here to educate, elevate, and advocate for you to get to your next level. And today, who's helping me with that? Miss Nina Mercié. And she is coming from California. What part of California?
San Diego.
San Diego. And so I, how long God, how long have we known each other? We we met such a long time ago. So we met,
8-ish.
yeah, we met on a publishing cruise, and really long. My God, how yeah, it's just been such a long time. Hey, house. So it was an amazing experience. Connected. This woman's amazing, and I just wanted to bring her on here to share a bit more about the work that she's doing right now, because she's empowering people in so many really inspiring ways, and one of them has to do with relationships. But I wanted to first get into just hearing a little bit more about your background. So tell us about you.
Oh, all right. Tasha, thanks for inviting me. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. The work I do, simply put, is healing in our relationships. And in particular, the ones that are most important to us and the ones that can be the most chaotic and challenging. And so recently, some of the work I've done is it's extended from working with people one-on-one to working with couples, and sometimes working with an entire family that's in chaos, that's struggling, that's suffering. And it's a huge honor to do that type of work. I never would intend that, or I never dreamt that when I was a child. It's like the furthest thing I could ever imagine myself doing. And just through my life experiences, through traveling the world, studying with my favorite mentors, having a background in psychology, cognitive behavioral therapy, relationship counseling, coaching, meditation, yoga, it goes on, hypno. I've been able to put these things together and work with anyone who is like unaware of why they're not able to move forward. Maybe there's unconscious. And oftentimes our blocks, what's really hard is if they're unconscious, we don't know what they are. And so what I do is help people identify what is going on and how they can transform, or I like the word alchemize right now. Like alchemize. Like, so it's not like, oh, I'm in a world of shit or I'm a hot mess. It's like, no, actually I'm alchemizing, and it's
Nice.
where it's at and it's going somewhere else. And so if that speaks to any of you guys, that's the work I do. And most recently on Tuesday, October, we're in October now.
I know. We are. So crazy.
We have a program, me and one of my business partners, we've developed a heart healing program, and we're so passionate about helping people to release the past, to move through those blocks and experience life in a very different way. And it's very much relationship oriented for people going through breakups or bad relationships. But we find that some people who are single are like, I need to heal my heart. I want to live a better life. I want to know why I'm stuck in these patterns and I want to get out of them. I want to elevate out. So one of my programs is Heal Your Heart in 7 days. And in November, we have a relaunch of the High Performance Launchpad. That's more about lighting a fire under your ass and doing the things that you can do at a higher level, but not just so you can be an overachiever, but a person who says, I want a great life and I want my well-being and the quality of my relationships to be in the equation, not just how much I made and how good I look or any of those bottom line figures, but like a more holistic approach to success.
Wow. Say that 10 times fast.
I know.
Just
I
like
did have coffee before this.
jam it in there. No, that was awesome. So, and it's so interesting to see the evolution of people. You were still doing a lot of coaching and work when we first met, and now it just feels like it's amplified on this whole other level, which is so cool. I know that, right now with a pandemic happening, with race and equity issues, and all of these other things that are being magnified. I'm just wondering if there are certain questions that you would have someone ask themselves in order to tap into what might be going on to see if they need help.
Wow, that's such a deep question, Tasha.
I
I
go
like
deep. That's
that.
how I
And
roll.
so okay, so I was grasping the first part about, okay, the race and equality. Is that what you're talking about? Like
Equity, yeah.
equity and race, and then you brought it to like what might we be experiencing that we know that it's time for some work.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of times, especially when it comes to um, the race and equity issues, I think that they are more amplified right now just because of the news, everything else that's going on. We have elections. There's a lot of stuff happening in a lot of different areas, and people are getting triggered in so many different ways. They're also getting triggered because of mental health and because of the different effects when it comes to COVID, maybe with family or friends or something along those lines. And sometimes we get so boggled down with everything that's happening around us that we can't really look up and take a moment and say, oh, wow, this is what's going on with my life. I think I need support. So that's more or less what I was curious about. Or are there different questions that you would have someone ask themselves when it comes to the state of the world right now? And are there certain cues that they could look for and signs that maybe are pointing to, okay, this is happening. I need to get more support.
Oh, wow. It really, it's such a thorough and lovely question. And I just like, my heart is just like feeling into the different parts of it. Um, there's so many different ways. The first angle that comes up is for anyone walking in the world feeling a little bit different, maybe feeling a little bit more extra sensitive than others, or feeling like, how come I'm the one that, like, I care about this and I'm holding this heavily, and I look around and I see just drones and robots, and does that mean there's something wrong with me, or am I not getting it? And so like one of my things was, I don't know if I belong here. Like, I think I'm an alien. I'm just waiting for my ship to arrive and take me back to where I'm supposed to be. And I really believe that, as funny as it sounds, right? Like, yeah, the aliens, let's get out of here. Um, but for me, looking back on my journey and relating to any of you watching, is perhaps if you're feeling that something's not right, and feeling that unease or that disconnection, um, I really just want to offer some encouragement for you that just feeling that way is a sign that you are stepping into a higher calling, and you are calling in community, you're calling in your tribe, your people, your support. And to get there, you needed the unease. You needed to be triggered. You needed that stress, because it's a catalyst to drive you toward what you're really meant to be here for.
I
Does
love
that
it.
make
Yeah,
sense?
no, that does. And I think that it's so, um, it's just so true for right now that anytime that we have these events happen to us that are triggering, they're messages, there's some sort of lesson. I talk about fear when my clients are triggered and they're afraid. Usually, what is fear? It's just an acknowledgement from your body that there's something that you need to pay attention to. So, so looking at it that way, it is just really interesting right now because there are so many different layers and so many different factors. What do you have as far as an offering for people when it comes to people who are just struggling with mental health and feel like they're spiraling?
Oh, wow. So much to say, and on that one, of course, mental health is something that's really affected my family, including most recently. And I continue to look at all of that as a call to love. And the people who are feeling the most fucked up right now, they're the ones that are the most going to change this planet in a positive direction, because we can't line up in rows anymore and be obedient and do what we're told. And so if there's any part of you that's a bit of a mess, you're jarring up the system in a very perfect way that's meant for all of our evolution. And so the first part for me is to recognize with love and acceptance a welcoming, a welcoming of wherever you're at, and knowing there's something really perfect about it. Even if it's messy, even if it's painful, there is a purpose beyond what you're aware of, because this whole planet, the whole universe is alive and conscious, and it's an unfolding, and it's always unfolding, and it's looking for how can potential be expressed. So if the entire universe is this unfolding, how could you be unlike the entire universe? You too are part of that unfolding. So for me, it's like engage in the mystery. The mind has so much judgment, and it will say, it's supposed to look like this, or you're a failure, or you don't belong, and all these nasty things. And they're not true. They're not true. They're just trying to preserve their identity and keep themselves safe within you. And they're parts of you. So for mental health, it's like, take that part, give it a little love, put it to the side, and notice what are these other parts. And so trusting that the universe, the world, as crazy as it is, there's actually a lot of perfection and a lot that's going well. And if we don't see it that way, it's just we didn't get there yet, and we will. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. No, it does. Yeah, and it feels just like with you, you've walked this really amazing journey. You've had your ups and downs. You've been very vocal on that on your social media pages, and you're very honest. And I love, something I love about you is how authentic you are. What was a huge turning point for you with the work that you're doing? That where was that big aha moment where it was like, no, this is my calling and I need to honor it?
Oh, you're so good at this, girl. Oh my God. It's so fun hanging out with you. And after all these years to be like, interview time. We've got our microphones now.
I know. Yeah, you have like a very special microphone. I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's pretty prominent. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get like messages, like I got like a handful of messages on how to use it because I was so using it wrong. But anyway, what was your question? What did you just ask?
Okay, so you had this, this moment. There had to have been an aha moment for you where
Yes.
you pivot, you realize, okay, I've been head in the sand trying to do all of this stuff that I think is right and going with the mainstream, and now I realize that I need to just focus on my calling because this is the right thing to do.
Okay. So I would thank you for that question, and I would normally answer it with an event that happened years ago where I ended up in Byron Katie's house for a month meditating. And I realized, like an onion, we've got layers. And so sometimes we reach these honeymoons of, yeah, I know the secret. I know the law of attraction, and all these good things happen. But there's like these dips, and there's an ebb and a flow and waves. And for me, one of the more recent um, transformations that happen is, um, well, I would say two. In a leadership institute I did in Boston with Pathways, and also with my current coach right now, Sean Stewart of Rock Your Gift, I became aware of how much my tendency is to hide and to hide because I'm not perfect, and to hide because I'm not good enough, and to hide because I'm not really supposed to be here. I don't belong here. And I've been doing a lot of work, and I believe I'll do work around that my whole life just so I can flex that muscle. You know, it's not like you go to the gym and you're like, yeah, I worked out. I'm great. I don't need to go anymore. It's like to continue doing that. But and I'm sharing this not just so I can hear myself talk, but I know that this dynamic and this pattern is prevalent with so many other people who didn't get the permission, that didn't understand it was okay, that thought they had to just hide and watch everyone else go for it, and put themselves last, volunteered last, or didn't volunteer, didn't show up. And so for me, just doing work with coaches, with people who could see that pattern, it was really helpful. And that's why we're such proponents for coaching, because if you didn't come out of the womb as a high performance coach, a coach for your best self, there's people who can hold you with light, with love, and help rise you into your real potential, and not the potential you're pretending to have and stay at like this lower level, which we all know when we're there, it's very stagnant, it's dull, it's going through the motions, it's lifeless, it's longing for something more but doesn't know how to get it. So for me, doing work with other coaches helped me identify that pattern that's been running me my whole life, and to get to a place where you're just a little unapologetic. Like, whoops, I messed up. Whoops, I failed. Oh, well, I'm going to keep going. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you can relate to that, Altasha. You've always been so confident and assertive. And so I don't know if any of those elements are part of what you've experienced or what you've seen in your clients, but that hiding.
Well, it's a process. So it's a huge process, and there's lots of different layers. I know that for me, something that I don't talk about a lot is my background. So my mom, she's part Native American, and she actually traveled all over the United States and Canada with a First Nations healer. So they did healing work, and so one of the aspects to that growing up is that I learned these different skills. And so I never consider myself a healer. I still consider myself an empowerment coach. But a lot of people will come to me doing a session because they want to heal, they want to grow. So, it's only just in the last year that I've started to feel comfortable being able to say that I'm doing healing work along with empowerment. So, there, like you said, there's an onion, there's all these different layers, and you just kind of have to keep on going with it. But I've really enjoyed, I think that there's an enjoyment to discomfort. There's a recognition that there's something more to learn, and there's more growth that needs to be had. And I've definitely gone through it. I remember, I think when we first met, I was with my ex. And so there was a huge transformation that I made when it came to relationships, and this realization that I was no longer willing to settle. I deserved so much more. And I had already made up all of these rules. I talked to my friends about these rules because I had gone at one point on over 100 dates in close to a 2-year period. Maybe it was a year and a half. But I had like a 3-date no kissing rule, a 3-month no intimacy rule. And it just allowed me to get to know a whole bunch of people, but it also allowed me to get to know myself. What do I like? What kind of music do I like? Who am I? And so I've also feel like a large part of my personal growth has happened in my relationship with my partner, because we have these expectations of who we're supposed to be in a relationship. And I felt like I was trying to live up to these expectations for at least the first 3 years of our relationship. And then I realized I couldn't do it anymore. I can't be, you know, the perfect chef. I can't do like all the house cleaning. I can't do all of these different things and have you just sit there and do nothing. Like that's not how this works. I didn't get into a relationship for that. And so it was me sitting down having an honest conversation and just being like, look, I get that I did this. I did all of these things. I never asked you for help. I'm telling you, this is how it's going to be. You can stay, you can go. And he chose to stay. And our relationship is the best it's ever been. Like it's amazing. So I really love it. But I know that I have to do work every single day to assert myself. And I talk a lot to my clients about the power of no and the power of yes. So saying yes to you. So that's why I was so excited when I saw you online and you were talking about relationship stuff. I was like, oh my God, my friends need this. So when it comes to this challenge, what can people expect to learn?
When it comes to the challenge around the roles and expectations around relationship, like what can they expect to learn? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking?
Yes. I feel like there's a slight delay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's kind of, I can hear you perfectly. Um, well, I think one of the coolest things you get to learn, and it's hard to say when it's just words compared to the actual experience. Um, but for me, the greatest thing you can expect to learn is um, it's it's kind of like, well, what is love really? Is it pink hearts? Is it when the moments of falling in love, and then when you're not in love, is it not love? Is it lust? Is it and so it's what you learn is a practice of love, and to learn that practice and commitment are the keys to love. And for some people, it looks like a mate, and a mate that has a name called husband or boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever. And to really fall in love with life and building a relationship that nourishes you when you feel betrayed, disappointed, jealous, sad, angry, upset. When we learn the tools to deal with our darkest and most painful emotions, I'm so sorry, it doesn't sound like a Hollywood ending, but you could have any ending. And it's so beautiful and it's so perfect. And so it's one of the miracles that happened in our last program. It's like, it wasn't, oh, I won the lottery, I'm happy. Oh, I lost all my money, I'm not happy. It's and getting in touch with that ever presence of, gosh, there's names for it. Some people call it God, the universe, the spirits, the angels. But for me, that's a power that no one can take away from you, no matter what happens. And what I'm sensing about you, Tasha, is you did that inner work and you knew you weren't going to stay, and your partner rose to your divinity. He made a choice, but your happiness isn't because he chose to stay with you. Your
Yes.
happiness your happiness was you finding you in that process. It
Yeah.
just happens you have a man next to you that shows that that was part of the process, but it wasn't this, well, this is why I'm happy. So
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to highlight that like you did some work, girl.
Oh yeah. No, and it's an ongoing thing. I had this conversation. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. It's I was having this conversation. I thought it was an important one, and it goes along with relationships, but um we have these ideas about someone else completing us. And I think that this is something that starts at such a young age. It's just like, oh, fairy tale fantasy. You have the knight in shining armor. You want someone to complete you. And I remember at one point in my relationship, my boyfriend, he looked at me and he was just feeling very frustrated. And he was like, I'm not like you. This doesn't fully fulfill me. And I was trying to figure out what he was getting at. And he was like, I need friends too. And I just looked at him and I said, hold on. You think this alone fulfills me? And he just had the most amazing aha moment because I said, I need you to know it is not your job to fulfill me, and it is definitely not my job to fulfill you. That is your job. I am the bonus. So, really, just having that conversation, it was important. And I think that that's something that if the expectation is already there in the very beginning of the relationship, it definitely sets a tone, and it can happen at any time in the relationship too. I mean, we're 7 years in. So understanding that if you are in a relationship and and you still feel, I think there's a lot of people out there who are in relationships right now that would benefit from being in your challenge because they aren't happy. They aren't fully happy. If they're honest with themselves, they're not fully happy in their relationship. But there's the why. Why am I not fully happy? Is it because I'm giving too much of myself and not receiving enough back? So it's asking those different questions and being very brutally honest with yourself. And that's vulnerability. And that's also being brave, because it is very scary to realize that you're doing something that you've been doing for such a long time and it's a habit and you're used to it and it's not working. So, um, has that ever happened to you in a relationship?
With like putting
This
the other person first.
Well, just
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
well, I was thinking that. I was thinking that, obviously you found these steps because I'm guessing of some personal experience, and you have a template now, and you
yeah,
probably designed this template because you have refined it. It is a craft. So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely a co-creation of all of our most beautiful breakups and falling in loves. And so yeah, we've learned so many things along the way, and it's so amazing just looking at what people are saying about this program. And it's like, wow, how did it even come together? So thanks for even asking that. It's like, yeah, it came together somehow. um, but women who are we're doing it for men too. We just changed it. We're not doing the groups together, but we're inviting men, because whenever we talk to men about our program, they're like, I need that too. I want to do that. And we're like, oh, okay, well, let's have healing for everyone. Um, but it's like the feminine energy, being able to nurture ourselves. I don't know how it got so lost. Um, but the good news about any of the patterns is a pattern can be broken. We can create new patterns. So it's not bad if that pattern's there. And actually, in my own like love life experiences, I was a person that I didn't know I was until I look back at it. And I just see things so differently. And sometimes when I'm working with families or couples, I ask for love, support, like God, universe, and I want to say the things that need to be said. I want to convey the things that can help those people find love within themselves and with each other. And I think of any of the heartbreaks I've had or the ways I've sabotaged, and I didn't know it. And I was such a strong, feisty spirit, and I was so self righteous. And I didn't know how I was stomping on love. And so there's something in me, as we get a little older and wiser, that says, sweetie, I want to invite you to look at this differently. So yeah, a lot of sweet, wonderful things in love, and a lot of really hard, painful things, and things like I'm embarrassed about. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that or thought that way. So it's like a humbling that for me is such a great gift that's allowed me to be in this space right now. Not because everything was always peachy, not because I have this big heroic story, but a life of very interesting and rich experiences. And most importantly, though, like what does it take for love to be here? It's blocked. How do we unblock it? And so I'm like that. That keeps me up at night. I could go day and night. Like it's my biggest fascination, Tasha, and I'm so happy to hear how when your relationship 7 years, yeah, it's not perfect. Duh. Like, it's like, but to know that you have a consciousness that's working on it and noticing what's working and up for the challenge. Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's different. He's a lot younger, and so we had a lot of people who were actually not rooting for us. It was something of the exact opposite of like, oh, you should be with somebody who's older, and ready to settle down. And I was just thinking, what is settling down, and am I ready for that? Like, what does that even look like? And I had to really focus on opening my eyes to the expectations that I have put on myself because of age, because of societal views of what a relationship's supposed to look like. I mean, we're not married. A lot of people are like, oh my God, why aren't you married? And I was like, he treats me better than most husbands. I it's hello. I know for a fact, that I am in a relationship with someone who will not cheat on me, who I can trust. Like, yes, go out with your friends. If there's a girl there, I trust you. Like, I'm not looking into it deeply, because I know in myself what I offer, and I offer something amazing. And so just being able to understand that. But one of the deepest blocks that I think a lot of people have to love is really the block that they have in loving themselves. Because if you cannot love yourself fully, I realized there was no way I could possibly love someone else. So it was just this amazing aha moment of like, wow, what are all of the nasty messages, the really deep messages that I'm saying to myself, you know, um, and people look at me and they're like, whoa, you're so beautiful. I mean, we don't want to talk about the DM messages that I delete. I'm sure you do too. But I, I remember running and just thinking, God, oh, my legs, they're flapping, or there's flab, or there's different stuff like that. I used to get made fun of for my nose being too big. Um, and different stuff. And I thought, what am I saying to myself? What are those deep messages that I'm saying? Because for some reason, that's blocking me. Um, if I realized after I acknowledged those little things, like even the thing about my legs, I realized that I would try and make sure that my boyfriend didn't touch me like on my leg or something along those lines. And so it's, why are you blocking yourself from love? What are these things? It's because you don't fully accept yourself. Um, so yeah, like I think that I resonated with what you were saying when you were talking with your business partner, because I was just like, whoa, yes, she made a template and it's like about my life. So yeah, so I love it because this is something that I don't do. I do not do like relationshipy coaching things or anything, and I think that it's beautiful that you did this and put something together. I'm wondering how can people get a hold of you? How can people follow you? Get in touch with you? Are there different things that you could share?
Yeah, right now the easiest is Facebook, Nina Mercier, and my last name is spelled Mercie. That's the easiest way you can send me a message. Otherwise, my email is info@heart-highperformance.com.
Nice. Okay, so um, I definitely want to have you back on after all of this is said and done because I just feel like this is just a launching pad. There's so many more avenues that I feel like you're going to be taking. So yeah, I would love to have you back on.
Tasha,
And
I would love to come back. Thank you so much for having me. This is like wow, like so rich, and I love learning what you're doing too.
yeah, girl, I'm excited. No, life is really good here, and it's crazy because COVID suddenly pushed me to like, oh yeah, you can actually work with people all over.
Yeah, we can divide and conquer. You take care of Maui and beyond, and I'm in San Diego. But because we're online, we can reach anyone who is in our path. Anyone who feels I'm ready for that next step. I want to invest in myself. I want to invest in my heart. I know I'm more. I know that I'm more than what I'm expressing right now. And with love, guidance, support, my life can be very, very different
Yeah.
in a lovely way.
Yes. So if you have the opportunity, please follow Nina Mercier, and then also you can get in contact with her through her email or send her a message. And thank you so much for coming on, and I will talk to you soon.
Mahalo. Aloha. Thanks, Tasha.
You're
Bye.
welcome, girl. Bye.